Good evening. Welcome to the January 17th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for invocation and pledge allegiance. Tonight's invocation, I just ask that you take a moment to offer your own intention silent. Here. And I apologize that the count one time. So we'll start with town council reports, but before we do, I just want to note on the agenda that the add-on resolution of supervisor to execute a contract with Glenville Engineering with respect to water treatment plant upgrades has been added, and that we will be taking an executive session to discuss possible litigation off of tonight's agenda. We move back to the 7th. The legal team is just not fully prepared to give a full briefing to the board on that strategy at this juncture, so we need a little more time on that. So we'll move back to February 7th is the next kind of board meeting for that executive session at that time. So that will be off, but the add-on will be on. And with that, I will review town council reports. I'll say on the left, Councilman Nardosa.
Just a couple of things, more community notes than town council executive. On the 4th of January, Skanky Shares program started. Runs through February 6th. It's a 6-week program to try to help the pantries throughout Skanky County restock after the holiday season. Tomorrow, I will be making our first set of deliveries from pantries throughout the county. We've already received some deliveries out of the county. Next thing, tonight at the village, the library in the village, there's a fresh tables event. If you go to any resident, goes in Glenville, it's a program with regional food pantry and folks from the town that got together to provide a once-a-month program where we put fresh meats, fresh produce, dairy on the table. People come through and collect what they need to try to help them get them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Burke.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Happy to say that I attended on the 6th of January a ceremony for a fine young man here that lives in Glenville. His name is Cameron Breslin, and he completed the honor of becoming an Eagle Scout. So this young man created 2 flight simulators that will be used in schools around New York State to educate people about flying small aircraft. So it was quite an accomplishment. It was quite a ceremony, and I'm just pleased to say that he's a member of our community as well. Also, I attended recently. I went to the highway department and paid them a visit down there. I don't need to tell you folks out there that they've been busy lately. So I'd just like to remind residents that, plow season's here. Be patient with our department. They are out there working feverishly to clear the roads and make things safe for our residents. We received delivery on a new vehicle that we approved probably about a month and a half ago, and I was informed that that vehicle works very well. So pleased to say that we've funded that, and everything is going well at the highway.
And votes going to do the next one.
Yes. Thanks to our men that are working hard.
Thank you. Move on to the first item of the is a public hearing to all those interested in proposed local law to amend our landscape manual. And this is a amendment to the manual to remove certain species of trees and shrubs from the list of recommended plants that are currently in our landscape manual. And this is really to address the issue that this is the manual allows for what we now identify as some invasive species, which are really out of the landscape manual. So I will open. Someone's going to $20, I guess, for all of these. So I'll open the public hearing for any issue that matter. This is to remove invasive species out of our landscape manual for plantings of trees and shrubs. Public hearing is open. Once, twice, and I'll move to privilege of the floor. This is when you can speak about any issue before the town. I'll open that in just a moment. There are 2 people signed up. I'll call those folks up. You come to the podium, address the board. Just to set expectations, it's just a listen opportunity for the board, so it's not a back and forth discussion. If your name's not on this list and you wish to speak at privilege of the floor, just raise your hand and we'll invite you up to the podium after these folks are done, and then we'll go in that order if others want to speak at privilege of the floor. So I'll open privilege of the floor, and we'll start with the first person who signed up is Jim Home. Hello.
Yes. Tonight I'd like to speak about the Maple Avenue Railroad Bridge. I have some writings that I read. I'll give you some pictures to go with it. A little background on us though. We had just moved into 167 back in the early 80s, and we were standing outside when the train accident happened in 89. So you understand that I'm
sorry,
getting
Can I just ask you to take that microphone down a little bit closer to you? Yeah, thank you.
right there.
That's
Okay. All right. So you understand I'm just a little bit shy now. I had gone through 2 major accidents. Okay. So this is to the town of Glenville. I would like the town of Glenville to pass a law stating that trains carrying hazmat materials cannot stop in the town of Glenville for crew rest or for any amount of time exceeding, we'll just say 20 minutes or so, unless the train is in a secured railroad yard. A train carrying hazardous material is defined as any train where 1 or more rail cars displays a hazardous placard. About the pictures, I have 2. One shows a rail card filled of LPG, that's a gas, that is sitting on the railroad, Maple Avenue Railroad overpass. He's been there all night. Okay. And then the second picture is a close-up of the same car, and it shows the placards on it, the hazmat placard and so on. All right. If we go back a couple of weeks to the little fiasco that we had out there, if we'd have had a stationary car of LPG up there, I'm not sure what would have happened. I know what happened down in Oneonta years ago when they had that. Firemen rushed in, people died. Okay. I don't know if you have any authority over the railroad, because I know they're federal and they're all powerful. But I think somebody should be talking to these people and saying, enough is enough here. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. And I am going to address in my supervisor's comments, my comments on discussion with the rail company. So I will respond. Thank you. The next person is David Bronze.
Good evening. My name's David Bruns, and I live at 173 Maple Avenue, which is the property directly to the north of the bridge in question. My wife and I moved here 9 years ago, and we witness and respond to and make the 911 calls to a lot of vehicles that hit that bridge. The one on December 21st, we were not able to do it. We couldn't get through to 911. There were so many calls and responses. But we were sitting in our living room watching TV, and I stepped it off when we were about 225 feet from the point of the bridge, the nearest part of the bridge. So we saw it, and we felt it, and we heard it. Now we're living with it because during the firefighting efforts, 36 hours of firefighting and water being poured on that, it flows downhill, and a lot of it flowed under the bridge and onto my side of the bridge, and then down the low side on the property that I own on the east side of Maple Avenue. And carrying with it is diesel fuel and a lot of water. And if you're familiar with that area, I run a maple syruping operation and a business there, and I have for a number of years. And the fact that we didn't sustain any damage, personal injury or anything like that, was I'm very thankful and grateful and for that. But now, my next thing turns to: am I allowed to? Can I tap those trees anymore? Are those trees going to absorb water and moisture and petroleum off products from the diesel fuel? So that's weighing on my mind. My background: I went to the Merchant Marine Academy, and I was trained on LNG tankers. And when I heard and saw that these were LNG, or not LNG, but liquid or compressed methane tanks, it matched up with the fire that I saw, because I did firefighting training on how to fight an LNG fire or methane fire. And I was just glad that it wasn't propane, because methane is lighter. It's got a 0.48 specific gravity. It's lighter than water. It quickly vaporizes and it rises. But as Jim had mentioned earlier, if one of those LPG tankers had been sitting there, or within the singe area, because a lot of my ground covers singe from the heat, I know what happens with LPG. I mean, LPG, it's heavier than air. It settles, and it takes a long time to dissipate. And that's why you don't have it in your basement. That's why you don't store it inside. It sits to the floor. And if one of those had ruptured and spilled out and then was allowed to vaporize, I'm downhill. And I know the stream that comes down behind my house and crosses under the road is low. And I would have been surrounded by flames if the house had survived the blast, because we felt the pressure wave, we heard the noise, we saw the detonation. So we're lucky that nobody got hurt. I mean, the driver got hurt. The fact that he survived is amazing to me, because we saw firsthand 5 seconds after it happened. I would just like to go on record that if there's some way that you can prevent trains from parking there and sitting there and being within the area, now we know that it can be hit. The bridge can be hit with something. Nobody did it on purpose. It wasn't malicious. It just happened. But if we can prevent something that's going to could become even more catastrophic than it was. I don't know how far a blast like that would go. I don't know if it would reach this building, but I know my house wouldn't be there anymore. And if we were there, we wouldn't be there anymore either. So I just want to register my concern. It's something we could prevent. We can't prevent somebody from hitting the bridge, but we could prevent something to become even more catastrophic than that by taking some action to prevent somebody from just choosing that place to park, as Jim said, a hazardous railroad vehicle. So that's what I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else has signed up. Anyone else wish to be heard on the privilege of the floor? Going once, going twice. Seeing none, privilege of the floor is now closed. Thank you. I do have supervisor's comments. I only have a few comments, so I'm not going to go to the podium. I'll make them from here quickly. Real quick, first of all, the state of the town, which was originally scheduled for tonight, has been postponed to February 7th, which is our next board meeting. So we'll be doing the state of the town on February 7th. We just had to move it for a variety of reasons, and we'll be doing that on the 7th, if you can mark your calendars. I want to just bring to your attention, and Craig's going to give us some more information on this, but DEC has created some new regulations on MS4 and what our requirements are, what our responsibilities are. They're onerous, they're difficult. It's going to require probably a lot more work on our part. Some municipalities are talking about needing to hire new people. This is another one of those unfunded mandates that have been handed down to the town. The regulations are numerous. Craig's getting his hands around them now, but in our discussion, it kind of made it clear to me, I think, that DEC basically is dumped on the towns what the state doesn't have the resources to handle. It's dumping it on the towns to handle now. it's going to require a lot more work in our stormwater management. I just want to put it on your radar because we'll be talking about that in the coming weeks and coming months on what our new responsibilities are and what we have to do to maintain those. I also want to point out real quick that you might have read the article in the paper about our $1.5 million, which we're having a little bit of a hard time shaking loose from the governor's office, but this is an important thing for the town of Glenville. And, I've talked with Councilman Galuli and Chief Janik about specifically where this money is going to. And we've made the commitment to move forward in 2024, regardless of what happens with the state and the money that they've been holding on to now for 7 years. But this grant money was to pay for, and I think Councilman Galuli can speak more directly to this than I can, but this was going to pay for much needed safety upgrades to the police department. These safety upgrades have been put on hold because this grant has been put on hold. We can't do that anymore. We've got gender equity issues with our change rooms. The female officers don't have equal access to same facilities. We can't do that anymore. We can't ask our female officers to wait any longer. We have 4 now. And we have 4 vacancies coming up this year, so we likely have more. We can't hold off on that anymore. The chief and the folks in the police department have been working on getting our police department accredited, which is a huge honor for our police department. We can't take that last step until our evidence room is refurbished and done correctly. That's part of this grant as well. So it's holding up accreditation for our police department, which I think is critically important. We've been working on that for years. Critically important for a professional police department. So I urge any resident who feels as though they should be calling Senator Breslin's office to say, where is the $1.5 million that the state of New York promised the town of Glenville 7 years ago? Why is it sitting on the governor's desk? Why hasn't the governor signed it yet? That's the only step that is left in what's been certified for 7 years is waiting for the governor to sign a piece of paper to allow the town of Glenville to go forward and take care of the safety issues in the police department. So I want to report on that. I'm going to continue to report on that. We're going to continue to make noise on that until the governor signs the $1.5 million, which is there, just not in cents. Lastly, I'll report on my conversation with the train companies and the county on, what happened on Maple and what we're going to go forward, what we're going to do going forward. This is a frustrating matter for us here at the town of Glenville, as the whole Glenridge situation has been for many, many years. In that case, the state of New York owns the road, CP Rail owns the bridge, and the town has no authority over anything over there. But we've worked very hard with DOT to get at least that laser detection system there. The laser detection system is working. We see just today, a tractor trailer turned around. Every week, it seems like they're turning around. And some of them might be finding their way back down Maple, and that's why we're seeing more tractor trailers on Maple. And that's something that I talked to the county about. I talked to a county legislator. Apparently, the DPW commissioner in the county manager, the county legislators have put together a plan. I didn't know, but I guess one of the points of the plan was to light up the bridge with lights, which I guess went into effect today. But the county is working on doing different things to try to prevent trucks from going down Maple, more signage. I think there's some other things they can do. The problem is, we talk about GPS, we talk about truck routes, we talk about closing roads down to truck traffic, and all those things are great. At the end of the day, the problem is there's an obstruction in the road. The obstruction is a bridge. That's the problem. At the end of the day, that is what's getting hit. That's what's in the way of trucks. And so I've spent some time tracking down folks. We've learned, it wasn't easy to figure out even who owns this now. But this track is actually owned by 3 different entities equally. CSX, Norfolk, Berkshire. I think Berkshire and Norfolk are 2 different companies. But I was on a conference call with the 3 representatives from those different organizations talking about solutions. They're really not interested in raising the bridge. I think that's the only solution that's going to work. And this is why, at this point, although we're going to continue talking with each other, the train companies, and then trying to facilitate the county and the town and even DOT, because DOT has some money. But much like on Glen Ridge, you can't dig the road down because of the Outlaws kill. You can't dig Maple down, I've been told, because there's a stream under it. And talking 4 or 5 feet of a dip, that would be crazy it would affect too many residents. So raising the bridge is really the only option. So I go back to, and we talked about this, I think Jim mentioned, asked the question, do we have the authority to stop the train from coming to town? We do not. We do not. That is federal, preemptive, completely federal power. We have no power over the train company whatsoever. Train companies, their schedules, how they stop, where they stop, what they carry, if they can come in our town or not come in our town. We can't make them raise the bridge. And this is why at the end of this long saga, I feel the only thing left for the town of Glenville is litigation. The only thing left to do is to sue the rail companies. And the premise to me is, and we'll talk about this next week or the next board meeting, the premise is the train companies have said blatantly, we were here first. Your problem is you put a road under our bridge. That's patently wrong, first of all. You built a bridge to avoid a road. The road was a dirt road, I'll give you, but it was a road. That dirt road doesn't exist today because the federal government has stepped up and said the requirements for a road are no longer dirt. Requirements for a road in 2024 is this standard, and now they're truck routes. You also have a federal issue here that people have ignored. This is interstate transportation issues. These trucks are coming from outside the state of New York and hitting these bridges. People have said DOT needs to require certain things in these trucks, GPS and things like this, that are commercial grade. The problem is DOT only has authority over trucks that are registered in the state of New York. If you come from Texas, you're not under the authority of DOT. You don't have to have what DOT says in those trucks. This is a federal issue all day long, from the rail companies, interstate commerce, interstate transportation. The federal government is missing in this. Everyone talks about the state and the town and the county, but the federal government has given the rail companies immense protections over the years, immense protections. And the reason I think litigation is the only answer left is because that has to be litigated and brought to light in a court of law now. What Congress has done to allow these train companies to run and exist has been giving them carte blanche, basically. They don't answer to anybody. And that needs to stop. And I think litigation is the only way, successful or not, the only way to address this issue. Now, the train companies say that it's too expensive to raise the bridge, $25, $35 million. But I say, in the federal budget, $35 million is just getting going on a project. That's nothing in a federal budget. So why the feds haven't come in with this infrastructure money and raised these low bridges to meet the standards of today? I just mentioned the dirt roads are no longer the standard of 2024. They're not allowed to continue to operate as dirt roads. Cars were first built in 1905. We don't allow them to build cars under 1905 standards anymore. They're required to build them 2024 standards. So why are the train companies the only ones that are allowed to say, we built this in 1893 and we're going to keep it like it's 1893? That doesn't make sense to me. The only option we have is litigation. We are as frustrated as everyone else, I can tell you. We've done everything we can. We've heard every solution. We've brought every solution forward. The only thing I think we have left is to bring this to a court of law, make an argument and say, fix this problem. Because it's the bridge that's in the way of the tractor trailer at the end of the day. People are going to make mistakes. That's why we have insurance. There's accidents all the time. People do things they shouldn't do when they're operating a vehicle. People are going to make those mistakes. But as long as that bridge is in the way, that's where the problem is going to be. It needs to be raised. That's what we're going to focus on. That's the only option we have. But we'll continue to report on this. We'll continue to engage the community, and maybe have a meeting at some point on it with the rail company if I can get them here, and we'll go from there. But we'll know more on the 7th when we discuss our options for litigation and go from there. So that's all I have for reporting tonight. Maybe I should have walked over there. That was long enough, I guess. But we'll get back to the agenda and we'll take up item number 8, which is a resolution adopting the local law regarding an amendment to our landscape manual to remove invasive species as trees and shrubs that are allowed to be planted within the town of Glenville. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
As stated, Mr. Supervisor, this is just an amendment to the local law, removing certain plants that are considered invasives from our list.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please report the roll.
Councilman Lee? Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Supervisor Hesketh?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 9, authorizing the supervisor to execute and deliver a contract with Montgomery County SPCA for the term of 1 year to shelter dogs lawfully seized by the town's dog control officer. Do you have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
As stated again, this is a contract with the Montgomery County SPCA for $1,000 per month to house dogs that are going to be needing shelter from our town dog control officer.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Just to point out that we used to use the APF right here in Glenville, and unfortunately, they've run out of room and been unable to take dogs that we bring to them. So they have not been able to provide the service, and their service was more expensive than this. It was some savings. And this was brought to us from the chief and the PD, and they find this to be a better operation and cost savings for the police department. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Lee? Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Supervisor Hesketh?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 10, authorizing the purchase of municipal software for the building department. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. As stated, this is a professional software that will be used in our building department. This is something that will absolutely streamline the building department. It kind of brings things to a paperless process, and it also allows the user. There'll be a link where residents can check on the progress of what's taking place. They can take a look at zoning issues, so on and so forth. This is a welcomed addition. Tony, thank you for your work on this, and the building department as well.
I just want to add that it's a huge efficiency boost for the department. They've been very excited to receive it. I want to thank Tony and folks who worked on it in the department as well. But the new hires have been strategic to this. The new hires have been critical in this. We hired Naeem, our recent hire, is an expert in this software, and that was part of the reason why we did that. So it's going to be great for the residents because you can do so much online. It's all open information. I think you can start even putting applications on, getting a permit application online and pay online. So it's a huge step forward in the 21st century for us. We're very excited about it, and it's going to be good. And it's budgeted.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please go ahead.
Councilman Lee? Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Supervisor Hesketh?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, approving the minutes of the organizational town board meeting held on January 3rd, 2024. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion?
Just to say that we all should have received our minutes in the email from Julie. Thanks, Julie, for putting that together for us. And, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please go ahead.
Councilman Lee? Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Supervisor Hesketh?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 12, approving the monthly reports for December 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second? Moved in second. Any discussion?
As stated, this is just approving the monthly reports.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Lee? Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
Supervisor Hesketh?
Yes, resolution passes. We'll go to the add-on resolution before new business, which is add-on resolution 1, authorizing the supervisor to execute a contract with Delaware Engineering with respect to the water treatment plant upgrades. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, as stated, this is taking a look at the infrastructure and upgrades of our water plant. I actually toured the water plant, saw the upgrades that are needed on our wellheads there. Delaware Engineering is going to provide professional services at a fee of $293,085, and this was bidded and budgeted for. These upgrades are greatly needed. This project is going to just enhance our water ability to not only provide more water to the contracts that we have with outlaying towns. So this is a great enhancement for us.
And I just want to point out that 293 looks like a big number. It's a big number, but it's a $5.5 million project, and that 292,000 includes review of all information, all permitting, design, and through the bidding process, which is quite a lot of work in that. As Councilman Kirkham pointed out, I think you all know our original plant was built in 1964. Second plant was built in 2004. They don't really talk to each other well. They didn't really hook those up. We have to get better controls to hook up the wells so they talk to each other. We need a fifth well. What I should have reported on, and I didn't, but this gives me a good opportunity. I've been in contact with the Clifton Park Water Authority. We're setting up a meeting to discuss the fact that they may be wanting to take more than what they originally wanted. We are in the business of selling water, and we need more capacity out of those pumps. And so these are all very important upgrades. It's a lot of money, but Jason, before he left, and I and the board worked on structuring debt so that we're able to, debt is coming off in the 2004 upgrade, which will allow for debt to be allowed to be absorbed for the 2024 upgrades, and without any impact to the revenue, essentially. So it's huge. This is a very important project. I also had an opportunity to meet with our attorney that is doing the POFA lawsuit for us. Things are progressing very well there. He believes, in his estimation, that we will have our first batch of money by July. So we will be able to do the POFA upgrades as well. That is not in the $5.5 million, but what we're winning in that lawsuit should cover the upgrades for PFOA filtration systems that will protect our residents going forward and forever. So when we do this, we have to make sure that although it's not part of the project, the plumbing in of that system is contemplated in the design, because we are not far off from getting that PFOA system up and running. So I just wanted to report on that.
And the upgrade, the $5.5 million project does include the fifth well?
Does include the fifth well. Thank you. Yes. We'll get you we'll make a copy of the Delaware. We haven't seen the Delaware report. Yeah, but you're new. We can get it to you afterwards.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please put it.
Councilman Delory, Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Kirkland?
Yes.
President Leslie?
Yes, resolution passes. Our last item is new business, and I'll start on my left with Councilman Aragosa. I have Councilman Kirkham.
Nothing.
Councilman Delory. And nothing also. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.